My name is Bay McLaughlin. I'm one of the co-founders and the Chief Operating Officer for Brink.
So what brings you to this Congress?
So we help everyone learn what connecting the physical world means, not just from the kind of gadgets and technology, but really why it matters. And so this conference at DES, I'm really excited to be here because of all the corporations that are trying to figure out what does the next wave of technology look like, what all these kind of buzzwords and technological innovations really mean. So I'm here not only to help explain what we've learned by doing all the investments that we've done around the world, but also to try to understand their problems and learn from them too.
So we are talking with all these people who are coming here about how technology and digitalization has changed in the past 15, 20 years. So can you explain very, very simply how do you feel about that?
So 15 to 20 years is a long time. You're going way back. So I spent 10 years in Silicon Valley, and I learned so much when I was there. But what I really kind of took away from that experience was that mindset. So it's not about the technology. It's not about the digitalization or the digital transformation, which is like the big buzzword in all the corporates now. It's really understanding the why we do this. And that's really what I think matters. It's what my talk will be about on Thursday as well, because I think we get really focused on the devices, the widgets, the users, all these things, but I think it gets lost. It's like, why are we doing all this to begin with? So the reason I started my career in technology 14 years ago was that why. Was what do these technologies do for us? What is the point of all this? And I think that this particular conference is really trying to dig in on that content. So I'm leading a panel on health and medical technologies with four of the leading experts in Europe. And these are people that are passionate about solving these problems actually. Now, we happen to make businesses too. That's great. I'm happy when my investments do well. But the real why is what I think we've lost. And that's what I'm really motivated to keep working on, is trying to understand, okay, I'm going to put a wearable or phones or sensors everywhere in the world, but what's the point of all this stuff? And that's going to be the whole point of my talk on Thursday, so you'll have to stay tuned.
So, as I'm not sure I'm going to make it to your conference,
I'll tell you so.
Can you give me a headline, like the main sentence we need to know about that?
So the topic is why connecting the world will change everything. And the thing that we don't understand yet, which is a big message of ours and our whole investment thesis, is that we need to put sensors in the world and unlock data, because the data allows us to actually improve our lives. And that sounds very high level. I'll just give you a really fast example. So one thing we've invested in is diabetes technology, and this is out of New York City. Very simple. 200 people a day, every single day, have to have their legs amputated because of diabetes. That's crazy because almost 60% of Americans have type 1, type 2, or are pre-diabetic, and this is pretty much the whole Western world is kind of going that way. Now, when I say to someone, hey, we're putting sensors in shoes, they think, oh, so you can see how fast you run, or how many steps you took, or how fast or how high you jump, or things that ultimately really don't matter. And I'm saying, no, let's think about this. If 200 people a day have their legs amputated, we actually have the ability to save 73,000 people every year from this awful surgery, obviously lack in motivation and kind of depression ultimately, because of something that we can fix by putting a simple sensor in their shoe to see when this is happening before it happens. Now, I give quite a few more examples. We've invested in 43 companies so far, and we're speeding up, so we're doing about 38 every year now. So this is how we look at the world. We don't look at valuations and how cool and what are the new buzzwords. We really just ask ourselves, what problems exist in the world that data can solve? And we try to find founders that are passionate about that, and we just do that every single day. We've been doing it for 3 years now, and we'll probably do it for 30 more. So that's going to be the main point of the talk, and I'm also always happy to connect with people and kind of walk through that, because I kind of feel like we've lost the framework. A lot of things are cool, but they don't matter. And we're trying to bring it back to things that really matter.
So about that, I was talking to other people about the future, and many people feel like the future looks bright, and other people are like, well, we need to be careful because, technology can dominate us maybe, or we don't really, everybody wants to invest in technology, but we don't really know where we're going. So for you, how is the future looking?
So you can obviously look at both sides of the coin. There's always a good and a bad. But I think it's hard to argue if you look at just facts. So the statistics show us very, very, very clearly that from 30 years ago, which is kind of when the big boom of technology started, till now, every single aspect of life is better. Every single one. And that's crazy, and I'm happy to share any data on that. It's just, I kind of find myself sometimes wondering the same thing is, I'm on my phone a lot. I don't necessarily want, I see my nieces and nephews, they're always in their phone. In Asia, where I live, everyone's on their phone. Artificial intelligence and advanced machine learning, people are kind of worried about where this is all going. And I think it's right, and you should always be trying to think about maybe the downside to try to make it better, to be more ethically minded, to make it better for the society and humans. But I think if you just look at pure facts, black and white, every single aspect of society is better because of technology. And I'm fine to have the counter argument of maybe some of the downsides, but it's just statistically proven that we are all better off because this has happened. And I think there's always going to be downsides and problems to work on. We're going to make new problems to solve, but we've really solved a lot of the challenges in the world, and it's because of technology.
Okay, and last question. What do you think you're going to bring back home from this Congress?
So I'm learning a lot about the corporate mindset. I'm always so focused on the bleeding edge of technology, and I've been doing this my entire career, that I've never really had to spend a lot of time working in the big corporate world. So even though I worked at Apple 6 years, I developed the startup channel at Apple. So I only worked with venture capitalists, VCs, startups. So I've been very fortunate, I guess, in some ways, to not have to do the sort of big corporate lifestyle and career. But I've also really realized that it's critical about where we're going in the future, that our startups, at least in my portfolio, actually have the right partners and the right mindset with these large corporations, because they need them. They both need each other. And I think I'm here and I'm learning, because this is not my normal, I'm sure a lot of people you've interviewed, you'll see them all suited and booted, and that's not how I roll. And I think it's actually quite helpful for me to be in a place where it's much more corporate focused, so I can hear their pain points. I can see what's interesting to them, where are they on that kind of process and journey? Which ones are going to die because they're not going to innovate and they're not going to change, and then which ones are already innovating and changing, and then what can we do to partner with our startups and everything we're seeing to, again, just hopefully make the world better.